a lot of people think that in order for you to be unfaithful, there needs to be like physical,
like connection with another,
like cheating physically with a person. But if you sit there and entertain their conversation knowing well that they're flirting with you, you are just as guilty.
If you're in a relationship where there is no like spice in your life, let's say, it's like you can easily get just like, oh yeah, this person, we're just talking, like it's just cool. But it's because your partner doesn't give you that.
Doesn't give you that attention.
Yeah.
Most dads are not taking their kids to school, and most dads are not going to parent-teacher conference, and they're not that involved. And so it's sad.
So my issue is not that they do it. Is that why don't they do mom take me to school day too?
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Elevate, where we strengthen our relationships so we can elevate our lives.
I keep saying let's get it.
I know.
I don't know why.
You were just about to say the same thing. Let's get it.
Episode 93, I think this is it. Yo, we counting down.
Oh my God, episode 93? Wow, I'm proud of us.
7 away.
Okay, so today we're going to be reacting to several videos.
3 different clips.
Yeah, and we're just going to be talking about our opinions and talk a little bit more in depth about what our thoughts are on each one.
Here's number 1.
Being faithful in a relationship isn't just about staying out of someone else's bed. It's much deeper than that. It's about not sending certain texts, not flirting with others, and making the right choices even when no one's looking. It's not just about avoiding cheating. It's about staying away from situations that can cause confusion. It's about not looking for approval or attention from others outside of your relationship. It's about not keeping anything on your phone that you wouldn't want your partner to find. True faithfulness isn't just about being physically exclusive. It's about emotional integrity.
Chris GQ Perry, round of applause for you.
Yeah, he's been coming across my feed a lot.
I've been seeing a lot of his small clips, and all the ones I've come across have been really great messages.
Yeah.
And I mean, you just need to applaud a man when he's speaking in that way. And everything he said, I mean, if you've been on this channel, you know.
It's been 93 episodes where you said it.
You know this is where we stand, and we are seeing eye to eye with this man right here. He is on point with everything.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that in order for you to be unfaithful, there needs to be like physical, like
connection with another,
like cheating physically with a person. And cheating can be emotional. And so just making your partner feel respected at all times. Even he went as far as to say, even when that person is not in the room, that everyone just knows that you are in a committed relationship with your spouse and that you are respectful of them even when they're not around. And
even like on social media, like kind of when he said, like, oh, even when that other person is not like in the room, it's kind of like technically, you can have conversations with other women, let's say DMing and stuff, which technically you are disrespecting your partner.
That may not be appropriate. And sometimes it might not be you who starts that conversation. Maybe the other person's trying to start the conversation. But you sitting here and entertaining the conversation, knowing exactly what angle they're coming from, you are just as bad if you entertain it. And so you may sit there and say, well, I wasn't the one that wrote to them.
Yeah.
But if you sit there and entertain their conversation, knowing well that they're flirting with you, you are just as guilty. Because that other person does not owe your partner any respect. They didn't vow to your spouse that they would be with them through thick and thin, that they would be respectful, that they would be loyal. They didn't promise that to your spouse. You did.
And also like shooting their shot to see if you're like in a vulnerable state. Like it's like, she posts with her husband a lot, but she really loves him.
Let me see, and since a lot of relationships online can tend to be just a facade, just so people think that they have a nice relationship, there will be people who will test out to see if you really have that strong bond with that other person. And so, I mean, the worst thing you can do, in my opinion, is embarrass your spouse in that way and not respect them when someone else feels that they can have power that they have more power than you as that person's spouse because, you know, they feel like they're more physically attractive or whatever. And then they shoot their shot and you are over here entertaining it. That is, I think it's just as bad as cheating in a physical way.
Yeah. And it's also, I feel like it tends to be kind of like people that you see often. Let's say like you walk into a coffee shop every day and it's kind of like, that person will probably see you every day and be like, hey, Jessica, the usual? And you're like, yeah, the usual. And then, you know, I feel like it starts growing from there. So you got to be very mindful of that because you can kind of like fall into that, let's call it trap of, oh, no, you know, he just knows me. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And it goes both ways, like guys and girls.
Yeah, I think that some people can take like friendliness as, you know, like you're flirting with them. And so, I mean, I'm not saying you can't talk to people because, I mean, that's like impossible.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying you can't talk to people, but just there's ways to have conversations where the other person knows not to cross the line.
Yeah. And it's also like how you and your partner like know each other, right? Because if let's say I'm always a happy person with everybody, like, and we go into a store and I'm like just happy, you're not gonna be like, yo, why are you happy?
That was weird, yeah.
But if I'm always like introvert and I don't talk to nobody, and then we walk into a store and I'm just like the happiest person with the freaking cashier, you're gonna be like, yo,
and that's not typically how you are.
Why are you extra nice with this person?
Yeah, and you know, I don't think I'm the. Because a lot of people may listen to this and think, oh, maybe they're like super jealous with each other. And like, it's not even like that at all. Like, we've never really been on some like, why were you talking to this person? You know, because everything is about how it's done.
Yeah.
More than, you know, for example, we interact with a lot of people that are not really close friends with us. Like we meet, you know, in this business, in the creative world, we're going to have interactions. Like we need to network with people. We can't just, oh no, I can't talk to anybody of the opposite sex because I'm married. Like,
and even like social media, like we are pretty active. So it's like we're always getting DMs of like,
and we're very social people. Yeah. But everything is about respect and how it's done. You know, like you can tell when a person is being, you know, bien, como dicen los hispanos, carifresco, you know, like bien pasado.
Like fresh, like shooting their shot kind of.
Yeah, like you can tell when a person has other intentions rather than them just being polite and having manners and just being courteous. Yeah. You know, I consider myself to be a person who's very friendly, but I'm friendly, but people know not to cross the line with me.
Yeah. But they'll try it. I mean, they have tried it. The thing is, like, most people feel like...
Mostly online, they can try it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, online.
But in person, they won't try it.
Yeah, they won't try it.
Because I think that the way I come across is friendly, but respectful. So I don't really know how to explain how do you do that, but I just know that in the way people carry themselves, you know, you can tell when a person has other intentions. Yeah. And so that's very important. And I'm glad that he was pointing out all those ways that you can kind of be unfaithful to your spouse without having physical intimacy with a person.
And I think some people don't even notice it. Like they're just like, you know, if you're in a relationship where there is no like spice in your life, let's say, it's like you can easily get just like, oh yeah, this person, we're just talking, like it's just cool. But it's because your partner doesn't give you that.
Doesn't give you that attention.
Yeah. So you kind of like, hey, this feels kind of good. Like
that's why it's important to be friends with your spouse, like to talk with them, to
send nasty memes.
And not get so caught up in the routine in the routine of things, because if you do, then it gets boring. Yeah. And then if somebody, you know, just gives you a little wink, you know, while you walking down the street, or just gives you a little bit of attention, you start like, liking it.
Yeah.
And that's when you know, if you're married and that happens, that's when you know you're not getting the attention you deserve in your relationship.
And
Because
if you're not getting, you're probably not giving it as well. Because if you're giving attention, like most likely that person is going to give you back attention. But that's what I feel like.
if they are on the same page. Because sometimes you can have one person giving more than the other. That can happen.
Well, I mean, but then you gotta figure.
Yeah.
That out.
Yeah.
That's called non-compatible.
Yeah. But definitely, because I'm saying it from a healthy relationship standpoint, because we have a pretty healthy relationship. And I know for me, I feel like all my needs are met. So I don't feel the need to get the attention from other men. Like I don't crave it. And even if another man tries to give me their attention, it's like, I get that at home. Like I'm not, I don't feel like I get like so excited about other men's attention.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, you know, when we do, let's say, a skit or we post something like on, let's say, TikTok, and, you know, men in the comments or women in the comments will be like, oh, she don't pay attention to him, or like, he don't pay attention to her. And they're like, and we're like, bro,
you don't even know what you're talking about. Whatever.
You're assuming our whole life based on this video. But that's a whole nother topic.
Yes.
So let's jump into the next video.
You know what I think complaining is like? Bad breath. So I have a solution. You know, whenever you start complaining or somebody around you complains, just get you a little entitlement. Let me give you an example of how it works. You in your car driving, oh, there's traffic. You complain about traffic, you think you deserve to have a car. You know who doesn't complain about traffic? People that are walking. Next time you in line at your local coffee shop and your barista has the nerve to mess up your order. I mean, my goodness, you were so clear. 2% milk, not oat. Entitlement. 2.2 billion people in the world don't have access to clean water. You mad because your milk was wrong? You need an entitlement. God does not inhabit the complaints of his people. He inhabits thanksgiving. Enter into his... before you even get to the door, the gate is thanksgiving. The gate of access to his presence. I wonder why I don't feel his presence. Are you giving thanks? You complain more than you praise.
So that video was from Robert Madu.
I think so.
I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name. I'm terrible with names. But I love the message in that clip as well, because it talks about perspective, right? And so sometimes we need to be like
all the time
smacked up a little bit and put things into perspective. Because like he said, we can complain about so many things. Oh my God, it's raining outside.
Yeah.
You know, meanwhile, there's other states or countries that might be going through a drought.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're like praying for water. And water is essential. And we are like being little brats complaining about the fact that it's raining. Yes, of course, we love the sunshine and we need vitamin D, but we also need water.
Yeah.
And so it's true. A lot of people spend so much time complaining about everything.
Playing the victim.
I hate to be around people like that are constantly complaining. Not to say that I don't ever complain, but I definitely don't consider myself a complainer. Like, I'm not constantly just complaining all day or every day just complaining about things. I like to see the cup half full rather than half empty and look at the positive things rather than the negative things. Most of the time, you know, I'm human. You know, I do have my days where I'm like, I could be a brat too and complain about things that I shouldn't be complaining about. But for the most part, that's not me. And I hate to be around people who are always, every day, looking at the negative side of things.
Yeah, even... that reminds me a lot of like growing up, that most people was kind of like, oh, you know, we was born into this life. Like, we can't get any better. Like, we just got to deal with it. And, you know, we kind of played along with it. Like, okay, like it is what it is. Like, we was born into this. And now I'm just like, some people they're still there complaining.
Yeah.
And it's like, how about you do something differently?
Yeah, and it's like we start realizing what we realized was that just sitting down and complaining about these things isn't going to help.
Yeah.
And so for me, I like to feel empowered. I like to feel like, okay, if something is not going right, what can I do that's in my power to make it right? Yeah. I don't like to just dwell on the things I can't change because there's no power in that. And we're just going to feel defeated all the time if we focus on that. If we focused on the things that we can change and that we can improve, like life just looks so much better.
Yeah, I definitely agree with him. I don't really agree with the one that he said, like, oh, they messed up your order and you're kind of like complaining because other people don't have water. And like you paid for it, you know, like you work for your money. I get his message, but it's kind of like if you walk into a restaurant, you say, hey, I want chicken, but they bring you all beef and you're like, it's okay. Like, I'm not entitled. I'll eat the beef. Like, you got my order fucked up.
No, I get what you're saying, but I don't think he's saying that you can't let them know they messed up your order. It's more about the way you go about it. Because there's people who, you know, you give them the wrong order and they'll be like, are you freaking kidding me?
Or
like are you kidding me?
Yeah.
No, like, kindly take your drink. Oh, it's not right. I'm sorry, but, you know, I asked for 2% milk and this has almond milk. Yeah. Like, can you please, you know, it's about
and
how
I kind of agree
approach.
with him because I'm the type to be like, whatever, just give me the order. Like, I want to get going. I'll just drink whatever they give me.
Yeah.
So I know I am like that. But
I would be the one that I'm like, no, I don't want this. I
don't
want
order
this.
Almond milk. I want my oat milk.
But I'm also not rude about it.
Yeah.
You know, like, I won't go up to them and be like, excuse me, like, you got my order wrong? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, I won't be that person. One, because I know what it's like to work in those places. Two, I'm not a wealthy person that comes from nothing. I know what it is to work hard. Yeah. And these people that work in retail, that work in Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, they work hard.
Like fast foods.
Yeah. And so I don't ever want them to feel unappreciated. You know, I'm grateful that I can even go and place an order in these stores where some people cannot. Like he said, there's 2.2 billion people who don't have access to clean water. And I'm fortunate enough to have clean water and to even be ordering from Starbucks. That's super expensive. So I'm not entitled in the way that I'll go up to them and say with an attitude, like, you got my order wrong. I'll just kindly say, like, I asked for something else. Can you, like, fix my order?
Yeah. On that same note with entitlement, and we're talking about, like, fast food and stuff, why do some people feel entitled that they deserve a tip, like the tip culture, right? Like, you can be, let's say, just a random, let's say you go into a fast food restaurant, you place your order, they thing, and then you press no tip. Some people get offended.
Well,
I get a tip. I'm not saying that we don't tip. I get a tip at a restaurant. And like somebody's giving you a service. But if you're just ordering, like, hey, let me have number 3, like, here's your order.
I agree with you. I don't feel like at that point I should be tipping.
But there's people that feel entitled, like,
that's overboard.
Like if you have enough money to buy outside, like, you should be tipping me.
If I'm sitting at a restaurant and you're serving me, you deserve a tip. But if I'm just quickly grabbing something from Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, and I'm picking it up and nobody is delivering anything to me, no, I'm not tipping. No.
Yeah. I also
these
feel that
places
way.
should really pay enough to these employees.
And there's also people that say, oh, if you're not tipping 20%, you shouldn't be going out to eat. Bro, I'm not giving you 20% if your service is trash.
If it's trash.
No, yeah.
15, 20% is like, that's the minimum you should be tipping.
Yeah, but I'm saying if the service, I think now is like 15, 18, 20% is like what they usually break down the tip. I could be wrong. We haven't gone out to eat in a while. But like, I'm not giving you the max tip. Even if it's not 20%, I say I'm not giving you the max tip if like your service was garbage. Because there's people that just be like, take your order and then like you don't find them until like your bill is due.
Yeah.
So
you're right. 20% for me is a person who was a good server.
Definitely. And then like 25, 30 is like you crack jokes with my family up here. Like you made me feel special.
You started entertaining at that
Exactly.
point. No. But yeah, definitely. I feel like a tip is something isn't a tip something you earned?
Well, now there people are making it seem like no.
Like it's like an obligation.
Yeah, like you came to get food, like tip me.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next video.
If a black dad shows up at the parent-teacher conference with the mom, oh, it's a wrap. Oh, it's a wrap. From that point on, the teacher is going to put so much respect on that student's name. Because these teachers, most of them, not all of them, but most of these teachers expect that only the mom is involved in the kid's life and that the black dad is an absent dad. So the moment that the black dad shows up at the parent-teacher conference, it's a wrap. Expect for your kid to be treated kindly. Expect for your kid to get extensions in their homework if they turn in things late. Expect for the teacher to put some respect on your kids' names, black parents, when the black dad shows up.
That video was from Robin Ayers.
Okay, so I feel like her message applies to just minorities in general.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, my dad was never at parent-teacher conference. And
You were gonna say you don't know about me. You damn know you know about me.
And that was the case all across the board pretty much for a lot of the kids in the school building where I went. It was mostly the mom that was going to parent-teacher conference. And in minority communities in this day and age is still like that.
Yeah. I have a little gripe with our son's school.
What?
Or I don't know if they do this in every school. So I'm a very present dad, even when it comes to school. Like I'm always going into classes, parent teacher conference, like I'm always there. So my son's school does this thing where and I get it. Like I get it. There's kids that like me, myself, like my parents didn't go to school.
That's the reason why they do it.
But I know, but they do these father days. Dad appreciation day
to school day.
So my issue is not that they do it. Is that why don't they do mom take me to school day too?
I mean, we know the answer to this. Like in
I don't, because I'm the one that takes the kids to school and I'm the one always there. So
and I'm proud of you, baby. You are a great dad, and that makes me super proud as your wife. And I know your kids see it, and I know they're proud to have a dad like you. But the reality is, in the school where they're currently at, they're gonna be not there pretty soon. But in that community, most dads are not taking their kids to school, and most dads are not going to parent-teacher conference, and they're not that involved. And so it's sad that they, this school has a wonderful principal, and I absolutely love her. And she tries to, get them involved and get them excited about like taking their child to school. So they make this day of like dads take your child to school day, and they have like a little nice, I don't know, breakfast kind of thing, and they're like wearing the same T-shirts or like dad T-shirts and stuff.
Yeah, and they do like different events.
Yeah, which is cool. But I mean, we have to think about this from like many different perspectives, because I don't want to come off too judgmental.
No, yeah.
Number one, the community is a very low resource community. And so a lot of these dads have to go to work.
Yeah.
And so most of the moms are the ones taking their kid to school because the dad is usually working. And then you have other dads who just don't give two craps about the kid, and they're not really involved in that way, and they feel like they don't need to be involved in their kids' education, and the mom just takes care of all of that. I know for me growing up, I love my dad. He did the best that he could with the type of upbringing he had, but he was the kind of man that felt like, I'm working, your mom takes care of all the school stuff. Like, he felt like he didn't have to be involved. And on top of that, I was a very good student. I never gave problems in school, so he never felt the pressure of having to like
be there if it was bad or
school
something.
me, you know, about behaving or something like that. So I really feel like he felt like he really didn't have to be involved. He was like, oh no, like she got that.
He would
like,
just drop you off if he needed to.
yeah. So some people do what they saw growing up. And I think is now that a lot of the newer dads are realizing, and more of the dads who are, let's say, more middle class and higher class, who are, you know, really trying to change that narrative and being more present for their kids. The lower income class, I feel like a lot of there may be some dads in that group that want to be present, they just can't be present.
Yeah.
So, you know, I want to emphasize that because I know it's not the case for all of the men, but let's say there's a big chunk of men in the lower class that just, I don't know if they haven't gotten with the program or
even like this topic sounds weird because it could be like, oh, look at him. He doesn't want to be like a role model or something like that. And it's not even that. It's like, again, I respect it from both ends because I was in both ends. Like my dad wasn't there and now I am there. So like I understand it in both.
We're not wealthy.
I know. I just feel weird like being celebrated for something that I do.
Yeah. I know. Every time we get this
Like
paper, he's like, what do you mean?
Yeah. So it's like, it's not even about the other parents, like me, like, cause it makes me feel like, oh, congrats for doing this. Like, what do you mean congrats? Like, this is my duty, my responsibility. So it just makes me feel a certain type of way. It's not really.
Most of the time you feel kind of offended when you hear these comments of like dads, like not being involved.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I sit there and again, like
but you shouldn't get offended because you should take it from a perspective of, you know, well, maybe there's a lot of dads that need to hear this message that still are not on the same page.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I understand it. But as I'm sitting there, like, they are giving speeches about being involved in your kid's life and this and that. And I'm
You're like, why am I here?
Exactly.
Why am I here?
So, like, it goes both ways. Like, I get it why they're doing it. But then it's also like, if I don't show up, it's like, hey, you wasn't there for that day. You're a bad dad. It's like, well, I'm here for all the other days.
No. If you don't show up for things like that, I mean, you know what you do. You know everything that you do. We know everything that you do. But it's very interesting what she was saying in the video because it's true. Since it's not so common to have the dad be so involved in like parent-teacher conference and, you know, have them just involved in the kids' school activities, when the teachers see that the dad is involved in that way, you can tell that they're surprised.
Yeah.
And I'm always I'm a proud wife in that way. Yeah. Like, I'm always very proud to know that, you know, whenever parent-teacher conferences comes around and I tell you, oh, babe, such and such date is parent-teacher conference. Like, he'll put it on the calendar. He'll save that time slot so that he could be there. It makes me super proud as a wife to know that I'm not by myself.
Yeah.
When it comes to my paying attention to my kids' education.
Yeah, I think like one time we even logged into a parent-teacher conference. I don't remember what year it was. And the teacher was like, "Oh, the whole family's here." It's like, I guess.
Yeah, but you should be very proud to be that involved, and other dads should make it a priority to be that involved. It just feels good. It feels good for the whole family to know, to be there, to feel supported, for your kids to see that, you know, it's not just my mom that cares about what I do in school, but my dad as well.
Yeah.
That helps a lot in every aspect. It helps a lot to when your kids can see that, hey, mom and dad are a team. Like, in everything that I do, whether it's I'm playing a sport or I'm playing an instrument or I'm doing ballet or I'm whatever it is, both of my parents are equally involved.
Yeah, because like we're involved in different ways. Because it's like, let's say a permission slip comes through. It's like you'll be in charge of like doing the signing or whatever, or figuring out like if they want to go or not. And then, but I'm always like in the loop. and they're
Yeah.
aware of that. It's not like
You're the one that's usually, if some money needs to be given, you're
Yeah,
like
or
going
like-
to the bank and like giving it to them, like, here, this is for the trip on such and such date. Like, we're both pretty much on the loop of what's going on with our kids in school, and I can tell that my kids feel happy about that. You can tell that whenever, you know, like the other day there was, what was it that was happening? Oh, there was the first in-person PTA meeting since COVID happened, since C happened. And I don't know why, but it just makes the kids happy to see you visiting their school.
yeah.
And so you can also see how the teachers, it in a way, I feel like it shouldn't be this way. Like, every child should be treated with a lot of attention and respect. And I'm not saying all teachers do this. I'm sure there are some teachers who pay attention to each student in the same way, equally. But I do feel like that happens, you know, when a teacher feels like the kid has both parents equally involved, they
Get like extra care. Not extra care, but
you know, it's like, I don't know if it's they get more attention for it, or
praise maybe.
just make sure it's important. It's important for the school your kid is in to know, for everyone in that school to know that your kid is supported by his family. Because just because a person works for the school, the Department of Education, there are some pretty messed up people out there.
Yeah.
Even
I
in
mean,
the
we're humans
education
at the-
system,
yeah,
you know?
we're humans at the end of the day.
And so making sure that wherever your kids go, the people who are around them know that they're supported, fully supported by both parents, is crucial. This even applies when you have, let's say, a family member at a hospital, to make sure that, you know, this is like a different, you know, thing, but, you know, to make sure that the nurses, the doctors know that that person has family that cares for them. It goes a long way.
Yeah.
It goes a long way. The nurses, the doctors make sure that that patient is very well taken care of, because they have people looking after them. And the same thing applies for school. Like, make sure your kids, teachers and, you know, coaches and everyone knows that as a parent, you're fully involved and you're aware and that you're paying attention, because this will definitely set them up for success.
Yeah. Totally agree.
All right, guys. So that's it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed us reacting on these clips.
If you like this format of us reacting to different topics or just sticking to one topic, let us know in the comment section.
If you would like for us to go more in depth in any of the topics that we touched upon today, let us know as well. And that's it for today's podcast. You guys, thank you so much for watching or listening. Until next time.
Peace.